Good day. Hello, this is Josh. Good morning. It is morning for me right now. The sun is just coming up. It's getting later and later every day, but I need to make my videos at the same time, so I'm losing my light, as they say. But I've seen a movie. I saw Anora. This is a movie by Sean Baker, and I guess I would describe Sean Baker as, I don't know, Harmony Korine if he was good and mature. But Sean Baker, his previous films include The Florida Project and Red Rocket. I still haven't caught up with The Florida Project. I've never seen it. I know it's a little divisive, but I really enjoyed Red Rocket, and I loved Anora, spoiler alert. So, yeah, this is a filmmaker that I think really has a voice and really is doing something interesting, making movies about characters who would probably be categorized lazily as trashy or, basic or low class, and making very empathetic movies about them. And that I'll talk a little more about that as I unfold this as I explore this movie with you. But yeah, Nora is the story. Mikey Madison plays Anora, likes to be called Annie. She is escort is the euphemistic word for what she does. She's a stripper. She's a sex worker, and she marries. She has a whirlwind romance with a young Russian, a young Russian fail son, essentially, like a young Russian rich kid in America, in Brooklyn, and they have this whirlwind romance, and they go to Vegas and they get married, and then his family comes at them in the form, at first, of the Armenian fixer and his goons who work for the Russian family and clean up the messes after all of these Russian wealthy kids. And so essentially the family's like, well, no, this isn't happening. You're going to be, we're getting this annulled. This is not happening at all. And then, this is the thing of Sean Baker, is that Anora is the protagonist, the main character, and she's kind of fierce and self-assured, but she's also naive. She's not perfect, and she makes huge mistakes, and you watch her make these mistakes, and you make the mistakes unfold, and then you see the repercussions of them. And for the most of this movie, it's just straightforward, like effing around and finding out. Like obvious things are set up and then they pay off. There's not a lot of surprises, but it's like a roller coaster, the way they happen, with the extremity with which they happen. But then at the same time, there's also subtle things going on that you're not prepared for, that you're not tracking. And so it's really a really interesting movie, interesting story. And what's most notable is the empathy that, and the humanity, the empathy he has for his characters and the humanity he invests them with. And it doesn't just go for Anora. It goes for the Armenian gangster fixer who works for the Russian family, and it goes for his goons. Like, these guys do some really awful stuff, and they're kind of just there to break bones and like solve problems and hurt people. But yet we learn an awful lot about them personally. And I'm not going to spoil anything for what happens, but there are things that happen with these goons in different ways that explore things that don't usually happen in movies. You don't usually see for one little thing, that's not a big spoiler, you don't usually see the physiological ramifications of a concussion happen to a character slowly over time. When people get bonked on the head in movies, it's just a thing that happens to make it entertaining. But this is a movie where everyone is a real human, not a real human, but everyone has their opportunity to be portrayed as a human, and we spend more time than we expect with certain characters. There are some irredeemable characters. Once we meet the Russian kid's family, they're not the nicest people you've ever met. But anyway, this movie is really good. And it's another one on the pile. This week I saw 2 4-star movies. I saw Conclave and I saw this one. They couldn't be more different. They really kind of represent, Conclave is kind of an old school Oscar bait dad movie, and this is kind of, this is Sean Baker doing his thing, and this is a new kind of but these are excellent movies, and it's a really amazing year. Lots of genre stuff, lots of schlock, lots of experimental indie stuff, but also some really good movies. It's going to be really hard to put together any kind of a top 10. I usually just do a favorites list, and it can have as many things on it as I want. So it's almost that time of year. We'll be getting to that pretty soon. I hope I said everything that I wanted to say about Anora. Highly recommended. Check it out. It is, it's, again, if you know Sean Baker, if you know Red Rocket, you know that he's pretty uncompromising. There's a lot of stripping scenes and sex scenes, but yet this is not an exploitative movie. It's weird. It's not titillating. It's not like, it doesn't feel exploitative. It just is part of spending time with these particular humans, and they're the kind of humans maybe that you wouldn't typically be hanging out with. I mean, I don't know your life, but this is a good one. So check it out. Thank you for watching. I will be back with more reviews and other stuff. The holidays are approaching. That's always a fun time. And I don't know, you can support me on patreon.com/joshway. There's a podcast feed also that it'll be in the description, where I talk about some things that I don't get to here on the channel. I'm going to be catching up with some Criterion stuff and some streaming, and I talk about lots of other stuff too. So I thank you for your time, and I bid you peace. Goodbye.